The prior mission, vision, and values was created 50 years ago, so these were recently refreshed. For our new mission to design and build homes people love at a price they can afford, it's short and simple and captures what we do every day. It encapsulates how our team members design new houses, create great exteriors, create interior floor plans, shows up with our purchasing and production teams, and even shows up in how quality is driven. We work hard to drive down our costs to efficiencies so more people can buy our new homes. Now I'll move on to my executive summary. Within our company, the project I'm leading is the following. I'm involved with the launch of a new learning and development project. By the end of Module 6, the achievement I expect to attain is to shoot at least 2 corporate videos. We'd like to potentially allow each team to speak to the work areas that might be of particular interest or perhaps that they think would be surprising for team members to know. And to this end, we will schedule approximately 2 to 3 days of shooting in our corporate office with each department. The people over whom I will exert influence are Deborah, the Vice President of Team and Culture, Stacy, the Learning and Development Manager, Danielle, the Learning and Development Specialist, as well as all senior leaders on the teams of Finance, IT, Team and Culture, Manufacturing, and Marketing. Our projected leadership challenges aim to be overcome through the use of emotional intelligence, persuading others, sharing leadership, and creating a sense of urgency. The end product will be several 5 to 7 minute videos. Each department has its own standalone video, and each of those videos will have many potential uses. The focus of the videos is going to change from a focus on the organizational chart to a focus on a plot of land from purchase to move-in. The project is going to be reprioritized to begin shooting in the new year. In the summer of 2021 employee satisfaction survey, there were several comments from our diverse team members around gaining a deeper understanding and education on how the company operates and how each department fits into our overall operations. Ackley, Eli, and Thomas, 2020, mentioned that diversity's benefit has mainly to do with helping with the process of learning, but team conflict can also arise from diversity. That's exactly what I was fearful would take root during the project. Williams and Mihailo, 2019, describe about making hiring, management, and team development decisions less biased. And in this case, taking on the project is a team development decision. How we can strive to make decisions on the project team less biased has been one of my personal leadership challenges. The vision of my project is to raise awareness and education on our corporate support services for team members new to our company and to the home building industry. This vision is important because of the comments on the 2021 Employee Satisfaction Survey. Final deliverables will include a series of 5 to 7 minute videos for use in potential lunch and learn sessions. These sessions could highlight each department, and during the event, we could potentially open the forum up for questions from team members. The other aim of the project is to further develop the onboarding curriculum for new hires by breaking each piece of the strategic plan apart to be its own course with the video as a tool to bring the strategic plan to life. These are my SMART goals. I wasn't able to achieve either of my SMART goals within the allotted time, nor was I able to fulfill the vision of the project. The differences between the intended and actual outcomes occurred due to a combination of the project not having been fully thought through by senior leadership and my own leadership shortcomings. I wasn't persuasive enough to convince the learning and development manager to stick to the original focus of the organizational chart as opposed to a plot of land. I also wasn't able to persuade leaders to push the project forward before the new year. For my first SMART goal, the outcome-based objective was that every participant in the Lunch and Learn events will be able to define the corporate support functions of Stanley Martin Homes senior leaders after attending the events next year. And to get there, the action steps proposed were to ask participants to watch the final tapings of the videos during the Lunch and Learn sessions, to request that the participants take knowledge checks, identifying key corporate support functions supplied in the taped videos during every session, and to elicit orally the corporate support functions of senior leaders from participants at the conclusion of every session. However, we weren't able to get to the first SMART goal, so we weren't able to put into action the action steps. The project is just moving slower than anticipated. For the next SMART goal, the second one, the outcome-based objective was that every participant in the Lunch and Learn sessions will be able to recall orally and in writing the Stanley Martin Homes organizational chart and strategic plan. The action steps to get there are to ask participants to review the organizational chart and strategic plan before attending the Lunch and Learn sessions next year, to request that those participants fill in the rungs of the organizational chart and pieces of the strategic plan during their Lunch and Learn sessions with knowledge gleaned from the recorded videos, and to elicit orally and in writing the rungs of the organizational chart as well as elements of the strategic plan during a post-assessment at the end of every Lunch and Learn event. Now, same thing here, we didn't actually get to this SMART goal, and the scope of the project was changed. We're actually no longer focusing on the organizational chart, so the second SMART goal is going to need to be tweaked accordingly. So these action steps would no longer totally apply. We can kind of tweak them, though, to make them apply in the future. Now, the reason they don't apply is due to my shortcomings in persuasiveness, mostly because the learning and development manager came to me and let me know that the project was going to take this other direction, focused on a plot of land rather than the organizational chart, and I was not able to persuade her otherwise. To date, I've met with Deborah Fletcher, the Vice President of Team and Culture, and Stacy Perry, the Learning and Development Manager, to review the timeline for shooting the 5 to 7 minute videos. We also decided on a list of potential questions senior leaders will answer. I've met with our videographer, Jason Chang of Lost Note 2, and explained to him the questions I drafted to help get senior leadership ready to shoot the videos. To come up with the questions, I reviewed the strategic plan, our position descriptions, which can be found on our SharePoint site, and spoke to some additional members of the Team and Culture team. As I already told you, I met with Deborah Fletcher, Stacy Perry, and reviewed the timeline for shooting the 5 to 7 minute videos, and we decided on a list of potential questions. And then I also met with our videographer and explained to him those questions. And I wanted to tell you a little bit more about what questions I came up with to share with Jason Chang and with the rest of the team. Those were, what kind of decisions do you make? And again, these questions are directed to senior leadership. How does your job fit within the organization and industry? What is your major contribution to your profession? Are there opportunities to continue to learn in your job? If so, how? What expertise have you developed? What are your main responsibilities as a blank? What is a typical day and or week like for you? What do you like most or least about your work? And how does what you do daily support Stanley Martin's strategic plan? What metrics do you track on a regular basis? How do you use the information to adjust your approach? How would you describe your team culture? What kinds of problems do you deal with? How do most people enter the type of work that you do, and how did you get to where you are? How long have you been in this industry, and how would you describe the industry? I think one of my leadership challenges will lie in adequately preparing the senior leaders for their interviews. The other challenge will be to convince others that using the organizational chart as a compass, we can bring the strategic plan to life. I'll need to demonstrate emotional intelligence and also that I can persuade others to overcome these challenges. And those are really the top two leadership challenges that I'm going to focus on for the duration, and that I did focus on for the duration of the project. I know I mentioned before that I also would focus on the fact that the team is diverse, and that can create conflict. So I think that the diversity of the team and the conflict created from that diversity can be counterbalanced with that emotional intelligence and persuasiveness that I am challenging myself to bring to the project. Goleman, 2004, believes that emotional intelligence is a cornerstone of being a leader. And one component of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. It's not unlike a muscle. Self-awareness can be strengthened through persistence, practice, and feedback. Knowing your own strengths and weaknesses, though, can be at the expense of your own happiness as a leader. So I may be unhappy as I exercise this muscle of self-awareness, and I need to deal with that. There are various ways to build your emotional intelligence that I could mention, but Togel and Barsu suggest going into coaching mode, which is one action that I've taken. That means incorporating asking open-ended questions instead of offering to give advice on how to perform someone's job. I'll be doing this when I'm preparing senior leaders on the team and trying to convince the rest of my team members to use the org chart as a compass. There may also be a point at which self-awareness can be too much, so to speak, and can cause a hyper-focus on your limitations versus your strengths. Marshall, 2005, mentions that one way to limit self-doubt is to be aware of it as your inner critic. For example, during a difficult performance evaluation conversation or during a tense conversation in general, just like the ones that I'll be having when it comes to this project, I might coach myself to choose to see the performance data regarding my areas of improvement from the vantage point of learning and development rather than from the perspective that I'm simply not good enough. Persuading others to see it my way can and will be challenging as well. Grant, 2021, suggests using tactics that play to someone's strengths to persuade them. For example, if you're talking to someone who acts like a know-it-all, ask them to explain how something works to you. If someone's really stubborn, let them take control of the project. If the person you're speaking to is really full of themselves, you can find ways to praise them. And lastly, if someone tends to disagree a lot, disagree with them. So as you can see, kind of counterbalancing the personality characteristics or strengths that someone has with the tactics that you take on is helpful in trying to persuade them. But you need to be aware of who you're talking to and whether they are a know-it-all, whether they are very stubborn, if they're full of themselves, if they tend to disagree a lot. Once you notice that, you can take the appropriate action. The org chart that I intend to use lays out our departments and divisions. Our departments are based on our corporate support functions, and those are accounting and finance, IT, the chief operating officer kind of department, then team and culture, and architecture. Our divisions are purchasing, land, construction, sales, and warranty. Despite my use of emotional intelligence and persuasiveness, I don't think my efforts were very effective, and the project is right now at a standstill. As I previously stated, the team I work on is diverse, and conflict can ensue from this diversity. There are two ways I can help mitigate conflict occurring on the team. First, I can work to share leadership. Per Bayana, Gupta, and Sharda, 2021, this is an effective action on multi-generational teams in particular, which mine is. It's apparently said to promote the adoption of cooperative conflict management styles, and it's said to make the use of competitive and avoidance styles less appealing to team members. Secondly, to increase the value from task conflict while reducing the toxicity and intensity of affective conflict, we can establish norms of inclusion, tolerance, and openness. This might involve creating a charter to establish these norms and write them down so that we all agree with them. We'll also likely have difficulty sticking to the timeline for starting to film. We had initially set out to start filming in December, but we aren't ready to start yet due to a lack of urgency. Ryan, 2021, suggests creating a sense of urgency on the project teams by publicly praising urgent actions. So when my manager meets with hers about the status of the project and then reports back to me, I can praise her for being so prompt and getting back to me with status updates.